it was actually a surprise for us to really understand the drawing as a cognitive act, because I've been doing workshop with children for many years. From 1989 onwards, I have been working with children on and off, and it's only in 2013 or 14, and after so many years of working with children, that one suddenly realized the importance of cognitive importance of drawing. And it was an accidental discovery. And we were actually running a school in Pune, and we called it Reimagining Schools. And so we had naturally set up a environment in which children were completely free, and they were doing all kinds of things. And our job as so-called teachers were just to study what the children are doing, that's all. So we would hang around here and there without disturbing them, document what they were doing. So we started this school in 2011. And, so even that 3 years, we were actually focusing more on what children were actually doing, what we call as play and all that. And it was only towards the end, 2014 mid, when we were planning to do a samvad on drawing, and we set up all the thousands of drawings that children had done. As we began to look at these drawings, we saw a certain kind of a pattern, a certain kind of it was revealing for us that, and of course we had not done any kind of interference, because the whole rule of the school was that don't interfere with children. They know, because they are biologically equipped by life to make sense of the world, and any kind of intervention is going to interfere with that process. So we were very clear that there shouldn't be any intervention, any kind of help, any kind of praise. So children were also drawing, and they were doing all kinds of drawings. So our study on drawing was just maybe 5 to 10% compared to our focus on what children were actually making and doing. So but drawing became a very important thing. Almost and in 2014 we had to leave the school, so that was a completely an incomplete kind of a research, but it kept on coming back. Wherever we went into different schools, we kept on understanding that there is a fundamental possibility in drawing that we have really not looked at all. So the presentation right now I'm doing is regarding that why we have not been able to understand this, and what would be the kind of course that we are proposing. And you see, the problem is that right now the educated people belong to one kind of paradigm, whereas children belong to another kind of paradigm. It is very difficult for educated people to understand this, because right from childhood they have been conditioned to believe in a certain system. So they are in one paradigm in which children need to be taught. And so it will be very, very important for the participants who have come here to be very kind, very open, and to what we want to share, because this is not something that most people would have even thought about. So it will require a whole lot of, you will have to stop your present understanding of various things, otherwise whatever we are going to talk about will not enter you at all. So my request is that please stop your mind from kind of creating agreements, disagreements. Let's hold that for some time and just look at what we have to say, and then let's see then we can take it from there. So the course that we are proposing, because see why the course is also because we have found that the presentation that we do has not been very helpful in really helping people to understand. This one presentation, once in a while presentation doesn't really help. So the presentation, we felt that it has to be much longer kind of thing, duration, in which there is a long-term engagement with this whole aspect in a completely new paradigm. That is the reason why we have kept it for 3 months, and a constant, constant challenge that we need to. Actually, this will also help us to we keep talking about what is deschooling. But I'm not sure whether people have actually done any deschooling. These are all remaining just in the realm of words. But deschooling and unlearning is something that can only happen provided we shift the paradigm in which we are right now trapped in. So it's almost like a matrix. We are trapped in a certain kind of thought system, mind system. And unless we are able to come out of that, we will never be able to understand children in the true sense. Because children, as I told you, children belong to a completely new, another kind of paradigm altogether, which is actually designed to create knowledge, not to analyze somebody's information. And to create knowledge of the real world, not the written word. So this has to be very, very clearly understood, that learning is actually creation of knowledge, and not analyzing somebody's information, not memorizing somebody's information. So this is the ground that we need to be aware of before we enter into this exploration. So the cognitive importance of drawing means that children draw spontaneously without guidance. Only then it is going to be there is cognitive importance. Otherwise there is no cognitive importance. So the course will address how to understand what children draw, how to connect the other developmental stages, meaning the talking, walking, the achievement of dexterity, and you will find that same kind of biological process also in drawing. And then how do we enable situation for children to draw? Now this is because drawing is not a natural response of children. Drawing is a new response which has been forced onto our culture because of the written interface that we are engaging with. That is, the two-dimensional interface is what is now forcing us to draw, because drawing is not a natural act. And also why it is important not to judge, not to encourage children to draw, and also why it is important not to teach drawing. And the other thing that we address is that why drawing books are detrimental to children's cognitive development, why drawing should not be understood as art. This is another major problem, that it is very difficult to shift our paradigm from art into cognition, because art has been established so firmly into the modern mind that several changes will have to be made in order to shift from art. Because the moment we talk about art, we talk about self-expression, we talk about all kinds of things that have been made up by modernity, and it doesn't exist at all actually. This is all made up by modern constructs actually. And another thing is that how drawing is more important than learning to write. That how the child can be guided in its own process, not guiding by somebody, but the very act of drawing will guide the child to understand the connection between the three-dimensional world, two-dimensional space, and the role of writing in representing what exists in three-dimensional world. And why drawing should precede writing, that's another point. And why drawing should not be used as a precursor to learn to write. But this is another thing that has been practiced in many places, that children are made to draw various kinds of things, circles, half circle and all that, lines, so that children can learn to write well. This is again something that should not be done. Why children should not be restricted to draw anywhere. This is another thing that we will look at. And notion of rules and freedom in children, because this idea of rule law, freedom, this is all again constructed within our minds actually. Children doesn't understand any of these things. They are free. So they will do everything freely without any constraints, The notion of constraint is our construct. Children don't have any constraint. And one very important thing is that don't keep asking too many questions to children about their drawing. Once in a while it's okay, but because this again comes from our idea of judging what the children are doing. We have to stop judging children altogether, and a reversal of role is what is important, that we are cognitively damaged, and children are perfectly fine. So we need to reverse the situation as to how do we learn from children about learning the real world, how to see the real world, and how to decode it. So highlights of the course, how we are going to conduct the course is that, and it will give an opportunity to deep inquiry into life, learning, children and ourselves. And a non-expert and dependent, non-teaching, learner-centered approach. Experiential with the online format. Even within this, one can, devise, experiential kind of, activity. And it is also about how do we learn to see through the eyes of children, and almost like reliving our childhood. This Doman has actually, he has actually devised certain ways in which that people are made to go through certain physical activities that has been missed out in like for example crawling and walking on all fours. This is something, and all these are important in the formation of our brain. And he has been devising activities that has to do with redoing all these activities that we would have missed out in the childhood. Flexible, relaxed space, and because we are having a very small group, we are hoping to have a rich learning exchange,